and welcome into the PrepZone's Championship Wrap-Up. I'm your host, Jeremy Huber. On this program, we'll take a look at the 2015 high school football season in the DMV with audio from the Final Drive, a show that I host on DMVSTREAM.COM Friday nights during the high school football season. And we start our look back with the head coach of the top team in the final All-Met Sports Top 20 poll, Eric Wallach of the Damascus Swarmin' Hornets, who capped off their 14-0 campaign with a 55-14 rout of Dundalk in the Maryland 3A state championship game. That victory brought Damascus their 8th state title, but their first since 2007. And I asked Coach Wallach how good it felt to end the drought.
It feels great. You know, this has been a long time coming, and just we're real happy to do this for the Damascus community.
Now, it's funny, I did a little research on you, and I believe the timeline's correct. Your team you played on at Damascus your senior year finished runner-up, so interesting kind of parallel there. You kind of get over the hump finally at Damascus for a state championship, correct?
Yeah, I figured if I couldn't win one as a player, maybe we could win one as a coach, and it's kind of funny how the life works out.
Well, the guy that helped get you over that hump a lot of ways last night was Jake Funk. 7 touchdowns, 31 carries, 271 yards. I guess quickly talk about his command performance last night to do what he did.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been our workhorse the whole season, and last night was no exception. We thought we could try to get them going. We didn't know what they were going to try to do to stop it, and really the credit goes to the offensive line, who just did a great job opening up holes, and if there's a hole there, he's going to make some big plays.
Talked about all year long the numbers he's put up. Could you kind of imagine, as good of a player as he is, what he's been able to do this season?
No, it takes a lot of luck. You got to stay healthy, and that's you never know if that's going to happen or not. And he was able to do that. And each season you go in, each team is different, so you never really know the chemistry and things like that, how it's going to be. And we had a pretty good team last year, and going into the season, we had some big holes to fill, losing Jalen Christian and Makai and Ari and Alex Magus and guys like that. So we didn't know what we could be, and I certainly never dreamed that Jake would have all the success that he's had, but I knew he'd be really good.
Looking at Jake, it's funny, and think back to the old days, the first Redskins Super Bowl where John Riggins supposedly went into Joe Gibbs' office and said, "Hey, I got this one, give it to me," and they basically rode him through the playoff run. Was there any type of conversation between you and Jake? Because last night, again, 31 carries, but also he was all over the field on defense. It was kind of a maybe unspoken thing to say, "Hey, buddy, you're emptying your tank tonight."
Yeah, I mean, sometimes he comes up to me, just tells me he's got me, meaning he'll take care of us, and we can ride him, ride him as much as we want. And there's a lot of kids like that. It's not just him. There's Daquan Grimes and Jake Bradshaw and lots of other good leaders on the team, Marcus Vintic, and it's just a whole team win.
Getting back to, I guess, the macro picture of this thing, you go to the state championship game last year against Franklin, you fall in that one, you come back, and basically it seemed all year long like unfinished business. I think by looking at the numbers, you were only held under 30 points once all year, and that was in a 21-3 win over your rival, Seneca Valley. How much was that in the back of the minds of the kids all year long, kind of rebounding from that state championship loss?
It was huge. I mean, the whole season they were really hurt after last year's loss, as we all were, and they were almost angry. And the whole battle cry for the whole season was get back to the bank. And every workout, every lifting session, and every time they broke down at the end of practice, that's what they said. And they did all the little things that it takes to win a state championship, not just during the season, in the off season when championships are really made.
Coach, I know you'd love to have 2 state championships. You came also awful close, but do you think this season turns out the way it did, if not for the loss against Franklin last year?
Well, you never know, but it certainly added fuel to this season, and it's just a special group of kids, and I don't know, but it definitely gave us fuel, no question about that.
That was Damascus head coach Eric Wallach. While the Swarmin' Hornets took the top spot in the All-Met Sports poll, another squad has a pretty solid claim when it comes to being the best public school team in Maryland. We'll hear from their coach after this look behind the scenes of one of our Georgetown football broadcasts.
It's not easy to do. Even rolling to your right is right here.
Down 3, ready out to 4. 1 and out to 4.
And Daniel Joe could go down with a right ankle injury. He kind of limped.
Flat, hold down. It'll be Brady to Joe Jordan.
Terrible thing. Pass rush. You know, they had to run the ball a ton. 69 receptions a year ago. And averages, he was unable to drag that foot. You know, one of these many tackles for loss. You know, guy who'll be a run down. And then this game tonight, they want to head back to Poughkeepsie at 500 as well. Yeah, absolutely. You got to be fundamentally sound when this defense gets out there. They just got to do it.
You're obviously a guy, a ball hawk back too.
It was a major point of emphasis for us. Again, also, we need to be a better third down situation.
So much spread. And there's finally a handoff.
Calhoun's going to get the
The Wise Pumas capped off their own unblemished season with a 55-6 drubbing of Howard in the 4A Maryland state title game. The championship, the second for Pumas head coach DeLon Parrish. I caught up with Coach Parrish after the win and asked him if he saw his team's victory as a case of Wise's great athletes executing at a very high level.
Yes, I did. You know, when I watched this film, when we broke it down as a staff, you know, we felt like we had a lot of individual matchups that just wasn't good in their favor. And all we had to do was pretty much execute that. Of course, it was kind of nerve-wracking because you're sitting there saying, you know, they're undefeated at 13-0. A team just like you, they don't quit. They're hungry. But we just felt like individually, when you broke down their roster, there was just so many mismatches that if our kids went out there and executed, they could get ugly in a hurry.
In the preseason, you said you wanted to have a more wide open offense. It was something that you had kind of been considering since your last state championship win back in 2012. Talk a bit about what you kind of wanted to do as an offense this year and how well you think your kids executed it.
Well, you know, I talked earlier about us spreading around, passing it. You know, for us, we want to keep our completion percentage up above 55%. If we can complete half our passes, you know, we feel like we have the athletes, we can get them in space. They can do damage that way. So Jabari was able to effectively run our offense. I think he passed over 1,900 yards this year with 30 touchdown passes, only 4 picks. He was extremely proficient. He allowed our offense to do many things. You know, we threw deep, short, mid-range. He was exceptional. And because of him, you know, I think he took his lumps as a sophomore. We basically sat back and said we're going to go as far as that young man take us. And we excelled. We waited for this year. We knew that the things that he did not do last year, you know, he's been a quarterback his whole life. He understands the game, that he would take his game to the next level. He worked hard in the offseason. He ran track. He lifted. He was a leader. And our result of that is a state championship.
This year's second state title, Coach Parrish, comes in a little bit different way. That one against Quince Orchard was a real nail-biter. This one a bit different. Was the feeling any different for you after the final whistle went off in this contest?
You know, that one against QO, that was my third appearance. That was nerve-wracking. You know, you was hoping the third time's the charm, so to speak. And fortunately for us, it was. So, you know, I was extremely excited, you know, get the monkey off my back, so to speak. This one was gratifying in the sense that as a staff, as a team, we wasn't afraid of change. We embraced it. You know, we all talk about what's the difference between a good coach and a great coach. I think the difference between even a good staff and a great staff is you have to be able to change, meet the times, and not be afraid to go into the unknown, you know, not be afraid to be uncomfortable. Take the talent you give or you have and execute whether it's a new offense or different variables. We was able to do that, embrace that, and the kids allowed us to do that. So that was gratifying in that sense that we never wavered from what we wanted to do. We had some stumps and stop plugs along the way, but we stayed the course. We stayed the course, and the result of that was the title.
Coach, a lot of folks are going to say, well, they have all this talent and all these different things, but you talk about coaching, and sometimes I've found that coaches, their toughest job is when they do have a lot of talent because they have to find a way to keep kids motivated. Really, you guys had one close game all year, the first matchup against Douglas. How were you able to kind of keep pushing the right buttons to get your guys to give their best performance every Friday night?
Well, in today's world, being a coach is more of a psychological warfare, I call it. You have to motivate the young men. As you said, get them out there to be prepared. You have to keep challenging. You have to give them goals. Set your expectations high. We was always looking at any little record we could possibly achieve. I had to go back into our archives, so to speak, and when did we ever beat this team by this amount, or what could we have done, how many yards we ever held this team to, and we set those goals up to see if this team can match that. Sometimes they would do, sometimes they didn't. That way they was frustrated. Then they come back and practice wanting to work even harder. But coming into the season, it's funny, we have a lot of talent. I think we have a lot of talent every year, but it wasn't really like the only people talk about was those two corners we had. And then all of a sudden, I always felt like the things that set us apart from a lot of programs is our program kids. The kids that's inside the program working hard, lifting, running. The kid that may not be a Division I, but he's a Division II, Division III kid, that he believes in the program. And we're fortunate enough to have a lot of those type kids.
That was Wise head coach DeLon Parrish, who interestingly was a standout at Howard High School, the same team his Puma squad beat in the state championship. Coming up, we check in on the champions of the best conference in the DMV after this testimonial from one of our former employees.
Next step, I will be heading to New York City, the Big Apple, and I will be working as an associate producer on World News Tonight with David Muir. And that'll include a lot of technical things, I think, from what I heard in my interviews and speaking with some of the staff members and the executive producer. A lot, editing VOs, VOSOTs, SOTs, but also working my way up to being possibly a secondary shooter in the event that a reporter goes out on a breaking story, or maybe David Muir goes out on a breaking story. When I learned that I got it, it was an opportunity I couldn't say no to. It's ABC News, and you don't often get those calls. But I will say this, and I 100% firmly believe this: synthesis. My time with them helped me set. That's the reason why I got the job.
Let's get right into it. PG County has produced a lot of football talent in the past years, but let's take a look at it from...
I would say the things that I learned during my time at Synthesis, learning how to never reject an opportunity, no matter what role you're playing, whether it's a cam op, whether it's talent. Also, it taught me, I think, to realistically see my goals. You're not going to achieve things like that. It's 1 in a million shot that happens. You have to work your way up, and I'm a firm believer that because I do want to eventually do on-air work, is that you have to master everything behind the camera before you get in front of it.
While everyone knows just how good of a basketball conference the WCAC is, its football profile is also top-notch. The 2015 champs of that league, the same program to take the previous 2 titles, the DeMatha Stags. I caught up with DeMatha head coach Elijah Brooks and asked him how it felt to win 3 straight WCAC titles.
It's a phenomenal feeling. Everyone in the DeMatha family, we're extremely proud of our players, our coaches, our entire program. Winning in the WCAC is difficult, and being able to win 3 straight championships is something we're really proud about.
Taking you back to that game at Byrd Stadium, you beat Good Counsel 48-17 and really helped you guys out in that one to jump out to a 21-point lead. How did you get your guys to get off to that great start to kind of jump out like you did on the Falcons?
I think that, our entire program, we were focused and we had a mission. So our preparation during the week was outstanding, and there was no way that this senior class was going to come out and fall short. So we wanted to play fast from the very beginning, and we came out with a focus and a determination, and it showed on the field on the championship day.
Of course, one of the guys with determination for you. He's had it all year, all his career at DeMatha. Lorenzo Harrison, 243 on the ground with 3 touchdowns in that title game. Talk a bit about his great performance that day.
Yeah, it was a great way for Lorenzo to end his career. You know, at Bird Stadium, and he'll be going to College Park next year. But again, he's one of those seniors. He's been on the team since his freshman year. He wanted to make sure that his class won a championship, and you know, he had a great day on the ground, running behind a great offensive line, and he made all the right cuts, and it was just his day to really show and prove. So he's done a fantastic job for our program the last 4 years, and it was a great way to end his career.
Want to take you back to kind of the whole season in general, get a big overview of that. Of course, the goal for you guys, I know a lot of the kids stated this and it was out there, you were looking to go undefeated obviously and possibly compete for the national #1. You lose to Gonzaga. That one kind of obviously put a crimp in that. How did your guys refocus after that goal went away to go ahead and doing what was left on the table for them?
You know, the Gonzaga loss is a tough loss because we know we didn't play to our maximum ability that day. You know, we had 4 more turnovers, you know, penalties that just weren't characteristic of our team. But, you know, a lot of times you can learn a lot from adversity, and that game allowed us to refocus, get back to fundamentals and basics. And, you know, I think it proved to make us a better team moving forward. So while that was a disappointment, you know, it definitely made us a better team and allowed us to get back to what made us successful early on in the year.
Coach, was there any part of you or the kids that kind of said, hey, we kind of like another shot at Gonzaga, maybe a little disappointment when they got knocked out of the other side by good counsel?
Hey, absolutely. You know, I would be lying if I said otherwise. You know, a fantastic program, fantastic team. But we just felt that, you know, we hurt ourselves that game, and we definitely wanted another opportunity to have another shot at them. It didn't work out that way, and, you know, it's nothing you can do about it. But if we could have got another opportunity to play, we would have loved to have it.
Coach, obviously this year you had yourself one whale of a schedule in the non-conference. You played American Heritage, played Miami Central, 2 great teams from down in Florida. You also played LaSalle of Pennsylvania, a powerhouse up in the Philadelphia area. What do you kind of look for when you're going through your schedules? Is DeMatha a school now that really it's going to be playing that national schedule when you step out of conference?
Absolutely. You know, we always have to take a look at what we have in our program and put our kids in the best position to succeed. So, you know, we don't want to put our kids in a bad position if we don't think that we have the talent to compete. But year in, year out, we feel as a program, you know, we can compete at a high level. And we want to match our program up against some of the nation's top teams. So even in losses, we feel like you can gain a lot of experience and a lot of exposure. So we look to add those matchups because we think it helps our program all the way around.
That was DeMatha head coach Elijah Brooks. As you heard, the Stags only lost once this season, the conference rival Gonzaga. And while the Eagles' WCAC title hopes would be dashed with a loss to good counsel in the conference semifinals, Gonzaga would still claim a title by beating H.D. Woodson 45-6 in the DCSAA AA championship game. Safety running back Luke McCaleb won MVP honors in that matchup. I caught up with the Eagles standout after the contest and asked him how it felt to go out a winner in a championship game.
Words can't really describe what I'm feeling right now, you know. After losing to good counsel in the semifinals and the WCAC, getting another chance to go and actually finish the season the way you want to, the way to go out with a win is just remarkable. And all these guys that have helped us so much and given so much time to us, I can't thank them enough to give me feelings like I have right now, just $1 million.
How tough is it to kind of refocus after? Because I was just doing the game with Coach Brooks, and he was saying how you know it's one of those things. Those WCAC title games, the playoffs are so tough to kind of refocus after you end up losing the matchup and come back and play as well as you guys did in this game and the game against Friendship.
Yeah, you know, right after that good council game, we took 3 days off and just cleared our minds. And then the rest of that week, we just had fun with football. We just played football because we loved it. We were just going offense versus defense, going live, having fun with it, and that really revamped us up. And so then the week after, we could get into film and stuff and just remember what football's all about and having fun with it. So then we went out with friendship and just played how we play. And that's really what set the tone, I think, those 3 days where we took off and then just having fun with it again.
Now, looking at today's game, they've got those two great receivers in Motley and in Peeler. You guys didn't give up anything big to them. There were some little plays they made. How were you guys able to go ahead and slow them down in the passing game and not allow a lot of big plays?
Yeah, the first person I got to thank is really our defensive back coach, Coach Panker. He worked us all week, and he sets a fire in us. He says, "No, guys, you don't have any respect from anybody. You got to prove it." So that's what we go out and do. And then other than that, our D-line and linebackers just tore it up today, causing bad throws, causing tough throws, getting in the quarterback's face, causing havoc for their O-line. So really it was just a combination, not just us. And then my other two corners, Trey and Joe Zuccari, they just played it great today and really stepped up their game.
You win the MVP here. How do you feel about getting a chance to go ahead and be an MVP in your high school football career?
Yeah, I was really excited with it. It's really everybody though. I don't know if I really deserve this, We got Tyree, Joey Freeman had 2 touchdowns, Kyle Taylor making tackles left and right. So there's really a team award. I was very blessed to have gotten it though, and I thank all those other guys that helped me to get it.
That was Gonzaga safety and running back Luke McCaleb after the Eagles' DCSAA championship victory. While many of our champions won their titles in routes, the Westfield Bulldogs claimed theirs in a thriller. We'll hear from their head coach right after this info about how you can commit live on DMVSTREAM.COM.
At DMVSTREAM.COM, we'll stream your verbal commitment live to our audience, viewable on computers, televisions, and mobile devices. Stream your college commitment live to the world. Let us know when and where you'll make the biggest choice of your athletic career, and we'll dispatch a producer. We'll handle all the technical, putting you in front and center under the brightest lights on your biggest day. You can blast your biggest moments to all your friends and family, as well as Facebook and Twitter followers. They can watch you make this choice live. Interested in having us stream your commitment? Fill out the form below and let us know how we can get involved. Remember, follow us on Facebook and Twitter and visit us on the web at DMVStream.com.
Westfield won their 3rd state title in thrilling fashion, knocking off Oscar Smith 49-42 in triple overtime in the Virginia 6A state championship game. I talked to the head coach, Kyle Simmons, after the win and asked him to share his feeling after winning a state title in such thrilling fashion.
I was so happy for everybody involved to see the kids celebrating and the fans so excited and the support staff, my coaches. I was just so happy for them. It's just starting to sink in for me. So I was just kind of standing around observing what was going on and trying to soak it all in, because you never know if you're ever going to be back there again. So it was a pretty incredible day, and I've spent the last 24 hours or so just reminiscing about the day and trying to imprint that in my mind so I don't forget what it was like, because it was pretty awesome.
I'm sure it was, and your team has showed resilience all year long, and obviously when you go to 3 overtimes, you're going to have to be a resilient bunch. Talk about what your guys were able to do just from that mental standpoint against a really good team to stand in toe for toe a little extra time than normally.
Yeah, so we were moving the ball fairly well, running it, so I felt pretty confident that we could score. Really, the thing that was probably the hardest to watch were the extra points, because you're kicking into a college goalpost, which is narrower than high school goalposts, and high school extra points aren't givens. So those were the toughest for me to watch, because when they scored and then we scored and needed the extra point to tie it up, I mean, it's a bad snap, a mishandle, an errant kick, and it's over. So that was where I was most anxious.
You look at the season all year long, and we've talked about it before, but obviously you guys had a lot of turmoil. You had suspensions, you had injuries, things that you guys have been able to get through. I guess first off, did that prepare you guys, building up depth and things like that for this run, and does it make it more satisfying to get a state championship with all you went through?
It absolutely makes it. I don't know if it could make it more satisfying, but it is it's quite a feat to have gone through what we've gone through and to be in the places we've been through the season. I thought there was no way that this was something that we could accomplish. But as the year went along and the players decided that, they were going to play as one, they were going to play for each other, they bonded, they became less selfish, to watch that metamorphosis occur, and then to go into the playoffs in the stride that we were in, that was pretty awesome. It was, I'm really happy for them because of what they are, not only the state championship, but what they are going to have gotten out of this season, and me personally also, because I had some tough conversations with myself during the year when things were not quite going well, and there were disappointments and there were heartaches, and it's made me a stronger person too. So really proud of them, and quite an accomplishment.
Coach, you talk about being less selfish. Obviously, that was part of your season at the end. Your quarterback change, you go from Tyler Scanlon, you move him out to wide receiver, you bring in Ramon Johnson. Obviously, that one's going to go down as one of the big-time coaching decisions of all time in high school football in this area. Quickly talk about how the process was made, and did it go to what you were expecting, or did it kind of exceed your expectations?
So, those were tough decisions that needed to be made at the beginning of the season, which were made easier due to some things that occurred. But, Tyler is the one who's responsible from the offensive standpoint of getting us to the point in which we had a shot to be in the playoffs and do some damage. And, as things progressed and as we massaged the personnel and the game plan, and we felt more comfortable with certain things, we felt that it was a good time to make that move. Ramon was in a good place. Our offensive line, we were starting to have some success running the ball. We knew Tyler had, the potential of being a wide receiver and could put people in a bind. So, it did exceed my expectations, though. The read play that we ran quite often with Ramon Saturday really paid dividends for us because, are they going to defend Tyler, which at times they did, double team him, and I think, they were alerting to triple teaming him. Are they going to defend the counter in the inside zone, or are they going to defend Ramon?
Congrats to all our local state champs, Wise, Damascus, and Patuxent in Maryland, and Gonzaga and Sidwell Friends in D.C., along with Westfield in Virginia. Special thanks to our guest and our producer, Nick Plum. I'm Jeremy Huber, and we'll see you next time on the Prep Zone.